I'm Dr. Mark Hatala, and I want to welcome you to my office. I'm a cognitive scientist who studies time travel by replicating days from the past. So all the media that someone would be exposed to, from the early morning papers through the late night shows and everything in between. Today what we're going to be talking about is teen culture from 1972. And so we have two teen magazines which are incredibly cringeworthy, Teen and Teen World. And we'll discuss each in turn, starting with teen. So Young and Lovin' Teen. This is Rick Springfield, who I thought was an 80s phenomenon because he was on General Hospital and he had a hit with Jesse's Girl. But apparently he was actually something in the early 1970s too. He's actually Australian, which I also didn't know. His last name is Springthorpe. And he had a song which made it to number 14 called Speak to the Sky. And so he's appropriate for this cover because he's 23. And we'll discuss that more in a minute because the men they feature in these magazines are much older than the readership of these magazines. A couple interesting articles that are in this edition. There is one on Mark Spitz, which is really more of an article on, and he won 7 gold medals at the 1972 Summer Olympics. He's a swimmer. It's really more of an article about trying to track down Mark Spitz. And it asks interesting questions like, what's he looking for in a girl? And so that's one of the articles. The most head-scratching article, I think, in here involves Charles Bronson as a sex symbol. At the time, Charles Bronson is 51 years old, and he seems pretty amused that they're interviewing him. I suspect that the editors liked his movies and just wanted to talk to Charles Bronson. I cannot see Charles Bronson as some kind of teen icon in 1972. There's also an article about witchcraft and Satanism and how they're sweeping the country, especially with teen girls, that's who this magazine demographically is aimed at. Anyway, it was actually started in 1954, and it's teen and preteen girls. But I'll put up a picture here too of students fundraising at their high school so that they can buy more occult supplies. So I don't remember that this was a real problem, so apparently it petered out. Teen World, if it's possible, is even more cringeworthy. So it asks questions like, Bobby, is Bobby too old for you? If you're a teenager, he's clearly too old for you. And other interesting questions like, is Jimmy going steady? Jimmy Osmond was 9 years old at the time, so I'm not sure if he was dating. And so that's a bit odd just from the cover. A couple of the interesting articles that are presented here. For example, one about Michael Jackson, What Michael Means to Me. Now, many of you might also believe that Michael Jackson was more of a 1980s phenomenon, but he was with the Jackson 5 in the 1970s. And so he has a whole career before Thriller. The things that this young person, and I question whether a young person actually wrote this article. The editors say it was a young person, but the kinds of things they like about Michael Jackson are that he wears a lot of different colors, that they share the same, so this is a spoiler alert, they share the same favorite author, who's Edgar Allan Poe, and he really has he's groovy. That was another thing that was a positive about Michael Jackson. They also talk about 4 favorite men that the readership might be interested in. These are men who are all in their 30s. So Chad, and they're all on television too. So Chad Everett, who was on Medical Center and Married. Mike Cole, who was on the Mod Squad, and that's one of the shows that aired on December 7th, 1972. He's 32. And then Lee Majors, who at the time, so he eventually became, he's 33. He eventually became kind of a superstar with The $6 Million Man, and he married Farrah Fawcett. But at the time, the only thing he had been on was The Big Valley. And so I question whether these are really, like Charles Bronson, teen icons. Perhaps the most upsetting part of both of these magazines is the pen pal section that's in Teen World. And so this is like doxing teens, where they give their name and their address, things that they're interested in, and ask you to write to them. So there's a definite To Catch a Predator vibe off of this part of the magazine. What are these kids interested in? Some are interested in things like bikes and horses, and others are into drug prevention. So there's quite a variety of views. I'll put links to all of these articles below, but come visit us at timetravelsimplified.com if you would like to travel through time. Buy our book, which is The Final Apollo Mission, December 7th, 1972. It's guaranteed. It's time travel or it's free. That's our motto. Please like and subscribe. And if you'd like to support my research on Patreon, I have a link below too. Otherwise, have a great day.